We are back with yet another episode. Aaron, how are you today?
Today was kind of rough, not gonna lie, but got through it. Here we are. This is the light at the end of the tunnel, so I'm excited to be here and
definitely.
make some podcasts. What about you? How was your day?
It was all right. It was a little slow at the beginning. Had to take one of my kids' friends home, and then we went to the park and hung out there, got some ice cream, and then we went and threw rocks in the river. So that was pretty cool.
Nice.
And then we came up and played some Halo.
Heck yeah.
So I'll play Halo 2 with my kids and my wife, and yeah, my wife and my daughter kicked me and my son's butt.
Was there any crying involved?
Twice. Yeah. He was not happy. My son is very much doesn't take losing very gracefully. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, fair enough.
Very competitive. So was I at that age.
He's a little fella. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, so what are we talking about today?
We're going to be talking about kind of dream offices of ours.
Okay.
Dream spaces that we would want to create and be creative in, and kind of like we are now. We're making podcasts, we're doing stuff. Maybe we're, like you said, hanging out with our families and playing video games, whatever. Kind of just a space that we would want to hang out in if we could do anything with our space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Yeah. So not necessarily an office or man cave, but like a recreational space. Any kind of space that you would personally decorate to be an area that you would be entertaining guests and family members in.
Right.
So, all right, cool. So I'm sure that, you would agree that a lot of this inspiration comes from different YouTubers that we watch.
Oh yeah.
Maybe different things that we've seen in magazines or online, just spaces that look so cool. They look so rad, and you're just like, man, I wish I could just hang out for a day in that space.
Yeah.
And so I know I have some that are very much geared towards video games. What are kind of some themes that you would go for?
I think the biggest one for me is actually, even though, don't get me wrong, I'd be mostly playing video games, but the vibe I call it is like cigar lounge, like a whiskey cigar lounge kind of vibe, brick walls, dark, moody, leather seats and stuff,
Right.
And
okay,
we can get more into it, but kind of that cigar lounge kind of look. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll talk about it today, but there's a wide variety of things that I could totally get down with. Again, coming mostly from YouTubers for inspiration, also Instagram and stuff like that. But there's some pretty cool stuff that I see people do, and I'm like, man, I wish I was that creative and I could come up with that and do that. So
yeah, no, I've been working on MySpace for a minute, but it's still a work in progress. I still have a lot of work that I want to do on it. It's just pulling the trigger, saving up the money, and then going and spending it without spending that money on that stuff before I spend it on other stuff. So that's the hardest part. So mine, honestly, I love RGB. I can tell technical right angles. I love straight edges. I love just customization with colors and stuff. I love the breathing lights. I like being able to change any kind of color or scheme with an app on my phone so that I can make it blue, red, or green or whatever, and have that kind of control over it. So my inspiration comes with that, but I do have some pretty interesting specifics for what I dream that I would be recording in / entertaining in.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right, Aaron. So in your office, in your dream space, what is it that you would use that space for mostly? What is the goal of that space for you?
So if I had my own like office that I could do up however I wanted to, I would definitely want it to fulfill a lot of like my hobbies and the things that I like to do. Some of those things include I need a dope PC, setup and like desk, and that'll be like the center point of at least one wall, right? That'd be like the main point of like where did I do most of my stuff, whether that be editing photos, editing videos, playing video games, whatever that might be. So I definitely want some sort of game station going on. I would want to be able to print more art, and have like a printer set up with like all the things that I need and like some sort of whatever. And then I would also want to be able to do like photography within the space, like product photography for uh, uh, entrepreneurs and other small businesses and stuff. So kind of, I think one of the main reasons I even started thinking about things like this was I wanted the space to be inspirational. I wanted to look around me and be like, man, everywhere I look, there's something cool, and like gives me, a creative idea, and I could put products in different places and take those photos. So definitely, that's kind of one of the main points for me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So my space is definitely pretty much, I'd say 75% video game related, and maybe 25%, give or take, depending on whether I would do other stuff. But I mean, I might want to play Magic in there. I do have an idea for how, and still be able to not have a physical table in there. But it is my dream to have 10 to 15 consoles all going to the same TV via a switch that is able to switch between each HDMI port and then transfer that main input into the TV. And I have some ideas for those setups, but yeah, I think that it would be really cool to have, my computer in there and be able to record these kind of videos. I'm not 100% sure if I would have a permanent table that I would do product reviews. I might do that in a different space, but definitely a place that I'm going to have a lot of retro game related stuff. I do want to have an arcade. Ooh. And I have ideas for how I'm going to build it. I just have to find the time to sit down and actually cut out all the pieces, because essentially what it is, it's going to be a Nintendo Wii that has different emulators on it that have a USB hookup that goes to the main deck, and there are controllers that have a stick on one side and then they have 6 buttons on the other, so you can get the real arcade feel. And then you can cut out a square in the deck, and then you can mount that in, and you can plug it directly into the Wii, and you can use it as a controller. And so you can play fighting games and side scrollers and all kinds of things on there.
That's cool.
And then if you want to, and then if you want to play like shooters, then you can switch it over to the Wii remote that has the infrared sensor, and you can use that to shoot the screen. And so my goal is to get a retro arcade that has all my favorite shooters, all my favorite platformers, but still looks like an arcade cabinet. And I want to have that in there. And
that's pretty cool. I've never heard of that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, I've never seen it done. I'm hoping that it's something that I actually achieve, because it is going to take a lot of work. It'll probably take multiple weekends to build the whole thing and get it all ready. But yeah, essentially the Dreamcast, the Nintendo Wii, the PlayStation 2, and the PS1. And then you can get PlayStation 3. That's probably as far as I would go. But all of those consoles have shooters. And so I would buy, cheap versions of each one, whatever the base model is, and I would keep all four of those in a cabinet that opens up in the bottom of the arcade machine. And so each one of those would be plugged into a switch, and then you'd be able to switch in between each one, and then just use the controller associated with. And it's a whole thing, but yeah,
That sounds really cool.
it's it's a big project. Definitely something that wherever it is, it's gonna stay there forever because it's gonna be way too heavy to move around. I mean, arcade cabinets already are 300 pounds, so
Okay.
not something that you want to be moving around a bunch.
Okay.
So, but anyway, yeah, that's definitely one of my dreams. And then, um, stuff with the projector. I mean, I got a projector. I don't know if it'll be in the final cut, but I definitely enjoy having ambiance with
Mhm. Some
with a
movement and
projector.
lighting, and yeah. I like that.
Yeah, and so I mean, I'm sure you've seen them. I've seen them in home theaters. They're usually mounted from the ceiling on some sort of rod or whatever, and you're able to swivel them around. And so, yeah, that's another aesthetic that would be really cool.
No, I can appreciate
So,
that. That's really rad.
yeah.
Okay, so
So,
then like thinking about all these like ideas that we have and like things that we've seen. I know for me, like when you mentioned the arcade machine, one of my favorite YouTubers has like an old school pinball machine, like an old
mhm.
school one, super cool. Um, that's what that reminded me of. And he also has all
Yeah.
sorts of neon signs and stuff. So, but thinking about that, thinking about like things that you've seen that inspired you, or things that maybe not just inspired you, but you want to replicate in some way. Is there any like specific
Mhm.
items that you'd, for like decoration or like you said, ambiance or whatever, that you want to try to
Yeah.
do?
Honestly, I've seen them around. So there was a Dreamcast, a Nintendo 64, and I don't know if it was a Genesis, but there's definitely a PlayStation. And these were kiosks from when the games first came
Mm.
out, like at Blockbuster, that had the screen on the top, and then it had the slender body, and it had the console in a cage, so you could play it, but you couldn't take it, and it had the really short wired controllers. I saw some of those on Facebook, and I was like, man, that'd be so cool to have that. But then I was like, well, why do I want it? I want it because it says Dreamcast on the top, right? So I think that having an advertisement backlit light that says Dreamcast, Sega,
Yeah.
Nintendo, whatever, that would be really cool. I would love to have those around. But
Ooh.
as far as like characters go, I have one. He's right there if you can see my hand, but he's only about 8 inches tall. But Artorias from Dark Souls,
Mm.
I would love to have a statue of him that's a little bit bigger. I know that Dark Souls 3 had the Red Knight was one of the statues that you could get with it, and I want to say it was a couple $100, so it's pretty spendy. But yeah, Dark Souls characters would be my first go to.
Okay.
And then probably probably Nintendo characters. Honestly, like
Yeah.
Yoshi's my favorite. I mean, I love Yoshi. I love all the different
Heck
colors.
yeah.
So having a bunch of little you know, honestly, what would be really sick, is if I had a shelf and the shelf had just every single Yoshi color on it, and they all were like sitting on the edge with like their feet hanging off. That would be freaking sweet.
You could achieve that. That
So,
could be a thing.
yeah,
So
yeah.
thinking about the like kind of game atmosphere kind of thing that you're talking about, and like kind of how
Hmm.
what you got going on already with the shelves with statues and figures and game boxes and all that. I have a decent collection of random like I don't know pop vinyls and uh, collector boxes and things, and that I want to like display. And when we
Hmm.
first bought our house, we really wanted to make this display that I had in mind, but it never ended up happening, of course.
Right.
I don't really know how it would fit the aesthetic of like cigar lounge, which is like my dream idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things that I saw that I thought maybe I could build to kind of tie it in is these hexagon shelves. So they look like, like honeycomb, right? And they're easy to build, and put them up on the wall just like any other shelf. And then, so they're like little cubbies, right? And then what I would like to do is put like backlight all of them, like have LEDs inlaid in the back of each little cubby, and then have like a little figure or something in each one, kind of to display some of them, not an overwhelming amount, but kind of my favorites,
Yeah.
to kind of still tie in the nerdy aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things that I saw that I was like, man, I could use this to my benefit here. I really like the wood theme and brick, and it goes with the dark, natural kind of materials.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely imagine I definitely imagine when I think cigar lounge of like kind of like the open sea, I guess. Like I when I think of cigar lounge, at least from the ones that I've seen, they had a lot of naval type of aesthetics to them. There was one guy that he was I want to say it was a Marine, and I was working on his house, and in his lounge, and this, I think I told you, it made me think of you, because he had exactly what you're talking about. It was all decked out, but there was all kinds. I mean, I'm not into liquor that much, so I couldn't tell you what they were, but they looked fancy. Fancy bottles all over the place. A little cigar case.
Mm-hmm.
The little wooden cask, looks like a little treasure chest. Had a couple of cigars in there, and his folded up flag from when he got discharged, and pictures of his buddies. But a lot of, I think there was like an anchor that had a squid like wrapped around it, and that was I mean, for me personally, I love octopus and squid. Like, I really want to get a tattoo of that. But
me too.
Yeah,
I want to get like a big old pirate ship on my side with like a giant octopus like attacking the ship.
Yeah. See, that'd be sick. And it honestly, to have a 3D printed renderation of something like that as a corner piece, that would be freaking dope.
Heck yeah,
that would be really sweet.
See, the thing I like about the kind of naval theme and tying that into the cigar lounges, there's a lot of like brass or metal, kind of things, and that's one of the big things I want to go with. I'd say some of the like decorations and stuff I've looked at were more, I don't know what you'd call it, like Victorian Gothic, like, but again, going along with metal like chalices or something for like lights. That was one thing I found that was super cool. It was like freaking, there's two I found. There's like lanterns and stuff that are like wall. What do they call them? Not chalice, or sconces or something. They're like little wall lights that are like, next to the bed in a hotel or whatever.
Yeah, sconces.
Okay, so there's like those, and you can do either like a hanging, lantern, which would be cool, or there's ones that are like a freaking medieval like torch. It's like a big stick with like the big metal cage at the top, and then put like light bulbs that look like fire in them, and that's one of the ideas that I want to do.
That's pretty freaking sweet. So I like it a lot.
So my idea is more like that, like kind of old Victorian Gothic, era kind of stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything really, anything goes. I got hexagon shelves. You know what I mean? That's.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Well, no, that sounds like it would be freaking sweet. I mean, I definitely can appreciate a room looking like that, and I know that you could almost go the deep sea diver route, that you were talking about with the brass and the like underwater life and stuff like that, and then you could almost go like, I don't even know what you would call it, if it would be sort of a southern theme with like animal skulls and stuff like that. I know I did see a leather chair that had uh, it had a bull skull on the top mounted,
Hmm.
and so at the very top of the peak of the chair on the backside, it had two giant horns and the skull on the top, and it looked pretty
That's wild.
sweet. I mean, I can imagine like that on top of like a fake bearskin rug or something, you know. So I mean, that sounds freaking sweet. That sounds awesome,
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So
So
um,
one of the ideas that I saw that might be cool for you, or like maybe go along with your theme a little bit. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but it's like they do. It's like a storm, like a cloudy
mhm,
storm. So it's like a bunch of
mhm.
cotton, like stapled to the ceiling, with LEDs running through it, and then they run this
Mm,
like lightning effect through the LEDs, and it looks just like a freaking like lightning storm on the ceiling,
really?
and it's amazing.
Damn.
It's so cool.
Yeah. That sounds freaking cool. That sounds like some Halloween decoration stuff right
Dude,
there.
it
That's
looks
that is
wild.
awesome.
I'd have to show you,
Yeah.
but
I mean, I've seen people do like I put my LED strip up in the corner so that I could change the aesthetic of the room. And when I was watching this one person that was doing the when we talked about the hobbies
Mhm.
and stuff, the they did the EV foam weapons for like LARPing and
Mhm.
stuff. They I think they made a shield, right? And the shield was like I want to say it was like from Diablo possibly. It had a big giant lion
I
head
like
on the
this
front
person
and they
already.
wanted the yeah. Yeah, and so they did a bunch of layers on it. She made a giant lion face that had its mouth open and then on the eyes she made them kind of clear, but then she put LEDs in the back, and so you were
Sick.
able to turn it on, and it made the eyes glow red, and it had kind of like a flame resistant kind of aesthetic to it.
Okay.
You know, like if you were to find this out in a chest somewhere in an RPG, you'd be like, all right, this is gonna give me some fire protection. You know what I mean? So
Sick.
anyway, that's like putting small LEDs in areas to make them look better. So this is what I've been kind of wanting to really research and go over. I'm surprised I haven't done it sooner since both of my parents are electricians. But let's just say you have a picture, like you have a picture frame,
Mhm.
okay? And this picture, you want it to glow on the backside and you want to hang it up on the wall, right?
Okay.
Now, traditionally, like when you get the the light panels that all click together, or you even get the LED strips on the top of the ceiling like I have, or my glowing corner lights or whatever, the biggest problem that you run into is that it needs a power supply. It needs to have an outlet next to it, and then you run out of outlets, or you have to run a big giant splitter and it looks like crap and you don't like it. I've run into this problem. I'm just like, these shelves that I have in my room right now, I want to get them backlit, but I've already used both the outlets that are right next to it. I'd have to get an electrician out here to give me a new outlet in order to run a new power supply, right? Well, what I've been looking at is battery powered LED lights. So it's a little small box, takes AA, AAA, whatever, and you can turn it on and off, but they also have remotes. So you don't have to physically go back there and turn it on and off. You can just click, 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 click. And because they all, at least most of them, not all of them, but I have been able to turn off lights with remotes from other devices because they're all on the same frequency. And so I can click a remote that goes to the lights up there at one of my corner lights and it'll turn off because they're both on the same frequency, even though they're from different manufacturers. So that's really cool.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
because running those lights back there is as easy as like getting some double-sided tape and just pushing the lights on them in the pattern that you want, and then hitting a switch in order to turn it on. And then it's not permanent. You can take it and you can move it to other places in the room, or you can take them off and reuse them on something else. And so that's something that I was going to experiment with. The lights are super cheap if you go on like third-party websites like Temu and Wish.com. I mean, they might not be the best quality, but I mean, it's a light that turns on with a remote. That's all you're looking for. I mean, it doesn't have to be, $40
Fancy.
from Google, because I mean, I got some Google lights so that I could hook them up to my phone, and yeah, those work out pretty cool. But anyway, yes, the LED lights that are battery operated is something that I've definitely wanted to kind of experiment a little bit with.
And you wanted to try that with like picture frames and stuff?
Yes, because I mean, I don't know. I think that would be super cool to have just, I mean, not even just picture frames, but I mean, like, that was the first thing that came to my mind, but different figurines, like you could put them around the bottom and have them glowing up so that you get like a shadow effect coming up on them.
Yeah.
Rather than coming directly on the face.
Yeah.
And you can just get different lighting effects.
That's one of the things I really like when I see YouTubers or whatever, people on the internet, they put stuff on brick walls and then they backlight whatever that is. So you get this like glowing brick behind whatever object it is on the wall. And it looks so cool. I definitely want to do that.
And if you see like 4 of those on the same wall, you got to think, how are they doing that? I mean, of course, most YouTubers, and I mean, obviously it's not all, but at least the couple of guys that I watch that have pulled back the camera to kind of show you the behind the scenes.
It's just
this
cables and stuff
square
everywhere
that you see is perfect, and then everything outside of it looks like garbage.
That's why the camera is facing this way.
Exactly. It gives you that illusion, right? Yeah. That everything's fine. Everything looks just like that, and you turn around and you're like, oh damn.
And that's my goal with like the space that I want to create is like, I want to be able to have like the camera right in the middle of the room and like turn it 360 and everything looks awesome. I don't want to be restricted. Like now, one of the things that I found out the other day that I've never even seen before that makes that even more possible is like right now I have like a video light right here. Okay. And it's on a stand, and the stand takes up freaking space, and you got to be able to put it somewhere. It was really difficult to put it right there because it's like between my printer and my computer. Anyways, these guys, especially with a small kind of office like I have here, they use these, I think they're called Vari-Poles. And they're these like, imagine like a shower rod. Okay. So it uses like pressure outwards and then like friction cup thingies to like hold it there. Right. Yeah. It's the same thing, but it holds like way more weight. Okay. Okay. And then they put those up on the ceiling, like against the ceiling basically, but like across, and they clamp their lights to that. Yeah. So the lights are just up on your ceiling, and you don't have these freaking stands everywhere.
Yeah.
And
dang, that's pretty smart. And I like it.
And it's as easy as like, oh, I'm going to film over here, swivel, done. Yeah. Instead of like, oh, I got to move this freaking light stand. And, so when I saw that, I was like, I have to get those. Yeah, I know, right? I have to get those
and I like that it's not permanent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you can take those out and you'd be able to put them in a different room.
I'm sure you
very easily
could screw them in for cool. Like peace of mind if you wanted to, but they just use friction. They literally have like this lever, like it right in the middle. It's like, and it like pushes it out, and it's like a really industrial version of a shower rod.
Yeah. Yeah, dang.
But no.
That's really cool.
So
dang, dude, that's really cool. I actually really like that idea.
Dude, when I saw it, I was like a little girl. I was so excited.
Well, another one of the things as far as lighting goes that I've wanted to do was get a chandelier.
Ooh.
But not like a fancy chandelier that you see in like a old Victorian house or anything, but I mean chandelier just in the sense that it usually hangs down from strings, right. And then the lights are attached to that, right? So I've seen these ones that one of them that I saw in this really nice house that I worked on was a bunch of squares. Like all of them were square lights, but they were different sizes and they were kind of like a mosaic stacked on top of each other, right? And they all hung down. The only thing is that they had a lot more room above them than I do in here.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
for this application, it would be hanging down almost eye level
Yeah.
because it'd be so, so I'd have to work around that. But I've seen one that was let's see, what would you call it? It was like a rectangle, but it was like a 3D rectangle. Like imagine a rectangle going this way on this plane, and then a rectangle going this way. You see what I mean? It's
Nope.
yeah, I know, right? It's a cube. It's a cube, but it's not like a traditional like outline. It only does the sides, I guess. I'm really bad at explaining what this looks like, but anyway, the point is that it's the corners of a cube suspended in the air, and the lights are in the cube. Okay, it's a damn cube. That's all you need to know.
Hey,
It's suspended in the air, and it looks freaking sweet. And then the other one was intersecting circles, and that looked pretty cool.
So,
but I definitely am going for like a straight edge kind of look, so I don't think that I would
straight edge. Yeah. No, so I actually have 3 chandelier ideas that I've looked at because I agree chandeliers are like dope, right? But
yeah,
again, like ceiling to head height, it's like I don't know, this isn't gonna work.
Yeah.
But the 3 that I saw, the first one I saw was a hop. Okay, now I'm talking beer hops, right? For like IPAs, right? And it's just this green hop that's like backlit. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a 3D object. It's circular, right? And it's like, I don't know if you don't know what a hop, it's like the shape of an acorn kind of.
Yeah.
And it's made with like little like slits around, right? To make like the little leaf things or whatever on the hop.
Right.
And it just looks backlit. Like it's got obviously a light in the middle, but I don't know how to describe it. The way it leaks out from in between the cracks looks super cool. But again, it's kind of too big. So then for my office idea, what I was looking at was it's like a medieval chandelier. So it's like hangs down, and then there's like wood and then like iron things holding onto the piece of wood that's what's actually attaching it to the ceiling and providing power. And then there's like candles around it, but obviously not real candles, like light bulb candles or whatever.
Yeah, definitely.
So I really like that one. That's probably what I'd go with. But another one that I saw that would be really cool in like a game style room, like LED, RGB, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's way too big, and I would need to be like really fancy and have a huge house. It's, and I'll explain why, but it's a giant freaking whale.
Giant whale.
But it's made out of like wood. It's kind of like what I was talking about with the hops that didn't make sense, so that probably won't make sense again.
Yeah.
But it's like a big wooden, like almost like a skeleton of a whale, sort of.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine like the skeleton of a blimp. Okay. So it's not a skeleton, but it's like the skeleton of a whale.
Yeah, it's like the outline, a 3D outline almost.
And with lights and stuff in the middle. And oh, it looks so rad. I don't know why it was but okay. Now the reason I actually like that is because I played D&D. Okay. And in one of my campaigns, we fought the Sky Giants. Okay. And these Sky Giants were shepherds of sky whales. So they were floating whales. And they were very rare mythical creatures. And they were being hunted for their bones because their bones is what makes them float in the sky. And so...
Well, damn.
Anyways, it was a whole thing. But... So when I see like flying whales in like on Instagram or like whatever, and I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a chandelier. It's awesome. I'm like, yes, I remember this.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool.
You'd have to see it, otherwise it might sound dumb.
No, I get it, dude. Like, not only is it practical and it has a use, but it's a reminder of a good time. So I can definitely appreciate that. That's awesome. Um, yeah, I think that the lighting is definitely something that I want to play with. The the floor, I've I don't like carpet. I really don't like carpet. It's very rough to roll around on the carpet.
Mhm.
The only thing that's good about it is I have metal chairs. I mean, they have the rubber feet on them, but I have metal chairs that sometimes I lay on the ground and, carpet doesn't really get damaged by that. Wood flooring would rubbing things on it from moving tables and stuff definitely can damage it, and so it's a little bit harder to take care of, but I don't know. I don't like the way carpet looks.
Okay,
It just gets dirty to the point where you can't clean it
I
correctly.
I can get down with your idea with no carpet. So like, okay, so you're talking about wood. Like for me, in my theme and everything, of course, I'm gonna go with like some. I want to go with like dark wood, like a dark,
Mm-hmm.
moody kind of like darker brown with like black, wood grain in it. Just real moody looking.
Right.
So for you, if you didn't go with carpet, what is it exactly that you would do?
So I kind of well, I mean, obviously wood would be really sweet. If I did, it would probably be some sort of synthetic black, so I could make it like black black.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really cool. The other one that I was looking into, and this I don't know how practical it is, but it's epoxy. And so it's just this coating. Usually they're on like garage
Mm-hmm.
floors, but it's super durable, super resistant. It's really good for any kind of spills. It's really good for any kind of like cleanup, which is why it's usually in garages.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I kind of see myself as possibly doing videos that might make a mess, you know? I have some ideas, if there was any kind of science experiment or something that I wanted to do with the kids and that was the area and we could make a mess without I mean not within reason,
yeah, yeah.
but it's not going to ruin anything because, that type of flooring is very durable and very easy to clean. So, and it's just unique. It's really cool. So, yeah, I mean that was one, but the synthetic black looking wood
Yeah,
look
like a
is
vinyl.
kind of
Yeah, that's what I would do.
yeah,
Vinyl kind of.
yeah,
It's better
yeah,
for pets,
something
and I have
that
a lot of pets.
yeah. Yeah. So,
No,
and then I could roll around in my chair.
yeah, fair enough. I think epoxy is
So,
usually done on like concrete, so I'm not
yeah.
sure how that would work out. But
Yeah.
there might be like other ways of doing it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then let's take a step back and like
Mhm.
I want to kind of envision like I want to put all these things that we're saying together into like a picture in my mind. Okay. So
Okay.
we've kind of got like the things that you want to do with your room. Some of the things, obviously, mostly lighting related, which again, we can see you're the lighting guy, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
but like what kind of, I guess, what color would the room be? What kind of furniture would you have in the room? Uh, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, I imagine you walk in through the door and I don't think I mean, I guess I'd probably want one window. The only problem with windows is that it limits what you can do with that wall. I mean, it can't be a
Yeah.
wall that you put very many posters on. You can't put shelves on it
Mm-hmm.
because the shelves will be super low or super high. You can't use it as a projector screen. So honestly, the room that I'm gonna get, because it's this, I'm actually gonna be changing rooms one of these weekends. But my ideal room would have no windows, so that I could utilize every single wall. But when you walk in, the first thing you see is the projector screen wall. So it would be probably 6 feet by 6 feet area that doesn't have anything on it. Maybe a pull down projector screen, maybe not. And then in the corners would be shelving for, various items. And then on the bottom would be some sort of entertainment center, like really short entertainment center, maybe like 2 or 3 feet high. And even though it wouldn't have a TV mounted on it, it would have figurines mounted on the top of it with a bunch of consoles on the bottom. So that would be one wall. And then on a second wall would have it would have a TV that I would use for like testing out games, for like doing reviews and stuff. And so it would be a wall mounted TV, and it would probably have like one shelf on it with a bunch of outlets right there, so that I can test different converters or different like, for example, my Sega Genesis and 32X with the Sega CD attachment, all of them take a power supply. So that's 3 power supplies for one console to play one type of game. Now, granted, it's a pretty rare occurrence, but I was just like, I don't even have enough outlets on one outlet in order to like make this happen. So anyway, to not run into that issue, it would have,
yeah.
I would custom make it to where it would have a bunch of outlets right there. But so right there would be that. And then I would probably have different types of shelving for different things that I was putting on display. Different, I like complete in box consoles, so I'd probably have a bunch of those. But then on the other wall would be my arcade stuff. So before I came up with the idea of making my own arcade cabinet that could do all of it, I wanted to own a small collection of my favorite games. House of the Dead, Carnival, Area 51, Time Crisis, and there was another one. I think it was called Maximum Force.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, those are all arcade shooters, and so I would just have a wall of cabinets and then have some sort of lighting above them with different company names for different manufacturers. Midway is one. Sega and Capcom each make their own.
That sounds sick.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. And then when you're looking at the door, I haven't really decided how I want it to look, but I do want some sort of decoration that goes around the door that is...
I got you. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You need the door to the Mines of Moria.
That would be pretty cool. I mean, honestly, like, that's what I'm saying, is I would want it to be some sort of iconic door in like a video game that everybody's played, that but I think that wall might even be a good wall to do like commission, a very expensive commission, mind you, to commission a mural of a bunch of video game characters hanging out together. Like, just imagine like a bar setting and like a bunch of different characters all sitting at the bar having a drink.
That would be sick.
I think
that'd be sick.
I think that'd be pretty
sick.
sweet.
You know what that reminds me of? That I'm curious if you'd be down for is like a graffiti wall.
Oh, yes.
That would look sick.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So talking about that, yes, I did used to just kind of a backstory on that real quick. When I was in middle school, I mean, I did not grow up in the ghetto at all. But I did meet a guy that I knew a kid in middle school that was from LA. He was from the hood in LA. Him and his dad moved up to Grants Pass, I think for his mom's work or something. But anyway, he was like hardcore. And so he would tag in a journal. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love art. Like, let me look at that. I never even thought of tagging as a type of art form that you could do. So anyway, I kind of learned some techniques from him, and then just over the years, um, observing different artwork that I see on underpasses because I live in Portland. You just learn kind of how colors mesh together, techniques, and what different letters you can do and stuff. But on that note, there was a spray paint that you can do that creates a film that is just like a chalkboard.
Yeah.
So you can
Yep.
spray it
Yeah,
on
I've
the
seen that.
wall
Yep.
and make it a chalkboard. And then
I made a chalkboard, a homemade
Oh,
chalkboard.
really?
It was like a paint that you had to use a brush for, but and I
Mhm.
had to put like a billion coats. But it works great. I mean, it's chalkboard.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, so that'd be another cool thing so that I could make it a different character whenever I wanted or make it aesthetically pleasing. But or I mean, I guess make it themed towards whatever I was feeling, recording, playing, whatever it is. It can
Mhm.
be something that was interchangeable. Or just a bunch of posters, a bunch of flat artwork on that side because I already have a TV on this side. I have arcade cabinets on the other side. It just might feel a little claustrophobic, especially if I have a review table in the center or something. But I did. So when I said earlier that I had an idea of possibly playing Magic
Mhm.
in my game
Mhm.
room, and I'm sure you've seen them. I'm sure a lot of people have seen them. But you know like the old school New York small studio apartment vibe where they actually have their beds. They like spring into the
Murphy
wall,
beds.
kind of like an yeah,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So essentially that's what it is, only it pulls down and it's a table.
Ah.
So you can
Yeah. Yeah.
pull
Yeah.
it, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
have it completely up against the wall and then possibly even do some artwork on the bottom of the table.
Ooh.
And then you can pull it down and then you would have a table that you could play some commander games with some of the bros, you know what I mean? Anyway, that was my idea for saving space. I really don't want to have like a table that I have to fold, and put away all the time. I'd like to have something that can be decorated, like I was saying, if it's
That's a
either
really good idea.
I think so. I've seen them in like hotels and stuff
Mhm.
that are trying to save space. They'll have pull down ironing boards and pull down tables and
Yeah. I
stuff.
mean, honestly,
So,
I there was a guy, a video I saw, and was planning on replicating, but never did. It was the same idea, but it was for like a workbench in the garage.
hmm oh yeah, yeah.
Ended up going with a different design, and I ended up having to be tiny because it didn't save space, so it needed to
hmm
be smaller so it could fit. But yeah, I definitely see that being a really good idea, especially for someone who like wants to play tabletop games of any kind, whether that be card games or what
Yeah.
or otherwise. Dang it,
Mhm.
that's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I think that flooring, that dark black flooring, but then I would definitely want to have some kind of video game related mats. I've seen
Ooh,
some on wish.com and Temu and Etsy and stuff. So I'm not really like, let's just say that the pictures that they take look like they're photoshopped because I can't imagine that the quality is that good for $10,
yeah, yeah,
especially with how big it is. But like giant Pokeballs, or one of them was a giant map of like the Legend of
yeah.
Zelda.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
So,
No, I've
um,
seen a lot of this. There's people that do rugs. They're usually a lot more than that. They cost a
yep,
pretty penny, but they're freaking cool. Anything you
yeah,
can imagine, especially
yeah,
kind of pop culture or video game related. There's a lot of
hmm
it. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
seen those. That'd be
and
sick.
yeah, I think that having so Dark Souls, I believe, I want to say it was Dark Souls 3 that had just one of the coolest collector's editions that had the little figurine and everything, but I believe that it came with a map of the game. And it wasn't just like a regular map. It was like all torn and worn and brown, like it had been used, a long time. And I think having something like that and having it in like a shadow box or something would be really cool.
Ooh, yeah, that would
In
be
the
super
in
cool.
the area that has all my Dark Souls figurines, because I'd like to keep all the characters, from each game, not separate, but just kind of in a group together, you know.
Fair enough.
So I think that I mean, I don't know. We all have our thing that when we see it, we're just like,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah,
it's so
yeah.
cool.
Okay,
So
so
when I see stuff like that, it's pretty cool.
before I get to mine,
Mm-hmm.
one last thing to
Right.
complete the picture. The main walls, what color is like the room, like that you're thinking about?
So I actually saw a guy that put black sheeting on the wall. It's a temporary wallpaper that you can get, and you usually get it in strips. Like it just comes in a giant roll,
Mm-hmm.
and you can layer it down, and it just adheres to the wall. But I was watching somebody do a game room, and he said that and I could notice it in the video, but he's like in person, if you black out just one wall, maybe two walls, it just gives this depth perception that the room is way bigger than it actually is. And so I was thinking about messing around with that, but I mean, other than the wall that has the projector, which like I said, I could black it out and then just use a pull down screen. So that's not a, make or break for that, but I was thinking blacked out walls, honestly, but the only other issue with that is that RGB doesn't reflect off of black as easy as it does white, you know? So if you wanted anything backlit, it might get washed out by how dark
Yeah,
the
yeah.
background is. So, um
I feel like
I
I feel like
think
most game rooms that I see online are white, but with
yeah,
so many RGBs, you're like,
I don't know what color it is.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you seem like you have a good idea, so let's hear it.
I'm just gonna go over kind of like the picture of my space and how I envision it.
Right.
Um, I have a couple different ideas for walls, and there's
Mm-hmm.
probably gonna have to be like four different walls because I'm not gonna be able to pick between it. So obviously, I said brick before. Has to be a brick
Mm-hmm.
wall. Has to. Has to. Has
Right.
to. Has to. The other wall idea I have, and this kind of depends on the space, but I want to have like a recycled palette kind of wall, but I don't want it to be like a big
Mm-hmm.
wall. So if it's a big square room, maybe a corner, like maybe do like a corner where it intersects and just do like, and that way I can like hang things on that wall and it'll just be like a
Mm-hmm.
backdrop for those things. You can also backlight it really
Mm-hmm.
well and it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But if it's a big square room, yeah, like I said, maybe not. We'll see. And then the rest of the walls would be like this dark, either like greenish gray or bluish gray, but like so dark
Mm-hmm.
that it just kind of looks like hard to tell what color it is because it's so dark. Not
Mm-hmm.
black, but kind of
Yeah.
close, you know.
Yeah.
But there's this stuff that I saw that's really cool. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head right now. Do you know what like chair railing is?
What is it?
Chair railing, I think it's called, or it's like that stuff that goes on the wall so that your chair doesn't hit the wall. It's like an old homes used to have it all the time.
Hmm. I can't say that I
Okay,
do.
well, either way, there's this style of wall that has like these like squares all over it that are like it's like a trim, used trim, and you
Mm-hmm.
just like finishing nail it to the wall in a bunch of squares, and then you
Right.
paint it the same color as the walls. Can't remember
Uh-huh.
what that's called off the top of my head. Dang it, I'm ruining my story, but you get the idea. It's just a little
Yeah.
bit of texture to the walls, so it's not just a
Right.
flat space. And then obviously I want to hang a bunch of photos and stuff
Mm-hmm.
on those walls, as well as again those hexagon shelves I talked about, so that I can display some of the stuff that I want. Um,
Yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, so then I guess the brick wall would probably end up being the wall where I'd want my PC.
Mhm.
And I kind of want my PC to be facing away from the wall
Right.
so that I can be sitting in my PC, playing my games, doing my thing. If I'm like
Mhm.
recording or doing something, like the camera's facing the brick wall, you know?
Mhm.
And then I'm facing like kind of the entrance to the room. So it's kind of like the
Right.
main feature piece is my desk.
Mhm.
I actually already built the desk for the space. I bought custom legs and then a big butcher block from Home Depot and then put it all together.
Mhm.
So it's a big like dark wood butcher block.
Yeah.
Um,
That's awesome.
and then again, we were talking about floors and stuff. And lighting and all that. I kind of
Mhm.
maybe more like kind of medievally. I like castles a lot. I like that old Victorian stuff. I just want it to be kind of like that vibe, you know?
Mhm.
And
Well, I know when I was looking at houses,
mhm.
when me and Kat were looking at places to get, there were 2 houses where they had taken wood flooring and put it on the wall.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And it just looks so good,
Mhm.
dude. It looks so good. All the outlets had wood trim on them. And it's not even the whole house. It's just like accent walls.
Mhm. I've seen it,
And
yeah.
dude, it looks so good. It looks so
I
good.
like it a lot, yeah.
And but what I was gonna say for your PC, I mean, and this is just spitballing, okay? What if you made like a wooden crate that was like your PC box, you know, like the either went over the outside or had like wooden accents to make it kind of blend in with the rest of
I
the
never
room, because
even
you
thought of that,
mentioned,
yeah. Huh.
yeah.
That could be
I
pretty
mean,
cool.
I think that would be pretty sweet, but
No, yeah,
and
for
then you could
sure.
decorate it with different you know, whatever, but
So,
you know, you're talking about having the big butcher block as your table, and I'm thinking, you know, the PC, because I mean, I know yours has RGB in it.
oh yeah.
It's gonna kind of take away from the aesthetic in a sense,
So
but
let me think.
yeah,
Let me mention one last thing about the room that might throw
yeah.
you off completely. Everyone's about, whoa,
All right.
you're, what the heck? Hey, look, this is my
Right.
dream space. All right, I can do whatever I want. I don't want it to just be cigar lounge. I want it to be
Mhm.
Aaron, and I like that idea. And
Right.
I like that aesthetic, but I want it to have some of like the nerdy kind of, you know, like I said, I put some of my figures in up or whatever. And that being said, one of the weird things that I want to do is I want to have a one pop of color in the whole room and only one
Mhm.
color. And it's like going to be OCD style. Okay. So like there's literally going to be all mute tones of everything, wood and really dark colors and everything. And then
Mhm.
neon orange.
Mm.
Okay. It's just this thing that I've had going for a few years now where I just have black and white, like computer everything. And then like
Mhm.
little orange things like here and there. Okay.
Yeah.
And so like for my furniture, I really want to do like leather, like wingback chairs, like really like, you know, cigar loungy kind of stuff. But then I want to have like
Mhm.
a little orange accent chair, neon orange.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Huh.
and then there's other things like there's this really random, and I don't care if it fits the theme,
Yeah.
but there's this thing. It's probably like a foot and a half by foot and a half cube, and it's a shipping
Right.
container.
Oh,
So it'd
okay.
be like
Yeah.
you put your I don't know what you'd put in there. Things.
You could convert it into a mini fridge,
Yeah, I
just
was
like
gonna
in
say a mini
case a
fridge.
mini
You
fridge
put
and
your beer in there.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's neon orange. Okay,
Yeah.
so again, just have like a couple random things, not a lot of them.
Yeah.
A couple random,
Uh-huh.
not small either though. Like they stand out. Why? I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just my thing, you know. And
Yeah.
so
No, that's
the
awesome.
PC doesn't fit that category. It's bright white And
Unless you get a neon orange case and
yeah, no, and I don't have that. So you're right. I definitely would.
yeah.
I never even thought of that. I would definitely need to. Speaking of, okay, so random thing my friend sent me on Instagram the other day. Coolest
Huh.
thing I've ever seen. Okay, it's this girl, her PC, and she's like one of those like Etsy creators that makes like all sorts of like fairy tale,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like cosplay kind of stuff, but like
Mm-hmm.
woodland creature fairy tale, not like anime. Okay. Uh,
Yeah.
and her desk was the coolest thing I've ever seen. It was like she had her screen and then she had like a picture frame that was hiding the screen. And then everything around it was like crazy wood and like little potion bottles and like plants
Yeah.
growing and like all this. And then just a picture frame with with a freaking computer screen right there. It
Yeah.
looked
So
so
it's almost
good.
like a magic mirror almost
Yeah.
that you're gaming on.
Dude,
That is pretty
it was
freaking sweet.
so good.
I mean, honestly, dude, that was like the second thing that I was gonna say about your computer screen to kind of make it blend in was getting a wood frame, at least to just go around the
Well,
edges,
see,
you know?
the
But
the problem is I want the computer to be facing the wall. So as you walk in the room,
okay.
you'd see the back of my monitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm sure I could like build
No, but
something around it so you wouldn't be able to see it, or I
mhm.
don't know. That's a good
Yeah.
thought though. I never even thought of that. Huh.
Yeah. That's really cool. I mean, yeah, that what you just described, that's pretty cool. I can imagine um like I said, like a magic mirror or some sort of portal,
Hmm.
kind of thing that you're getting out of this effect in the middle of nature,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Um yeah, that's awesome.
And that's kind of
Um
my space and my idea. Hopefully that kind of all came together and made sense.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it would. And there's definitely tons of room for improvement for stuff that I'm looking at. Um, I mean, there's like achievable goals, and then there's like, damn, this guy either has way too much money or he knows something I don't, and it's usually people that are engineers or they are into manufacturing or something, and they have a lot of different parts at their disposal. But it was a big thing on Instagram and TikTok where this guy had a TV, and on the sides of his TV he had two giant Joy-Cons, and the Joy-Cons opened out, and he had different consoles embedded into the sides of it,
Huh.
and then out of the bottom came down and had a bunch of different controllers for each
That's
console.
wild.
And but I'm saying like it all moved, it all like came apart and went back together. I mean, a lot of mechanical engineering, not something that normal people could do. So definitely like a one of a kind kind of thing. uh but yeah, it looked freaking sweet. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. But so I mean, if there was ever something like that I could do, that'd be kind of cool.
I just came up with an idea.
Yeah.
I'm I'm stuck on it now. So we were talking about like
Mhm.
hiding the PC or making it blend in or whatever.
Yeah.
And I could make it
A TNT crate.
so when you have a cigar lounge, you usually have like a whiskey bar. I could
Yeah.
just build a whiskey bar and have my PC behind it, like inside of it, and then just have like
Heck
whiskey bottles
yeah.
up top. So you walk in and you're like, oh, it's a cigar lounge, sweet. And then you're like,
Yeah.
oh no, there's a PC back here.
This is where I do all my gaming at.
Oh,
Dude, that would be freaking sweet. Just you with your mustache all curled, right? With like a button-up shirt with like a vest, kind of like the old West, right? And you're just like streaming Diablo 4 on Twitch. Sipping on some whiskey, just looking like like you're like straight out of a western,
like
and you're just
Doc
playing like,
Holiday or something.
yeah, like medieval, you know,
I like it.
video games. I don't know. That'd be freaking sweet. It's like and you probably have seen it. It's like heavy metal bands when they go up in suit and ties and just play some like hardcore screamo, and you're just like, they're either making a statement or it's you know, just kind of supposed to be so out of the ordinary that you notice it, like it's done purposefully.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I've seen that a lot where punk bands, hardcore bands will dress up in suit and tie, or dress up like groomsmen for some reason, and get up there and just blast some good music. But anyway, yeah, that'd be really cool. I like it, dude. Especially since you wanted to hide it. You can just hide it in plain sight.
Yeah.
And
nobody would know.
It matches. But
See,
you have to get a whole whiskey bar put in there
we
now.
got this whole idea brewing just from this episode, improving our ideas a little bit.
So those are our ideas. That's what's interesting to us. This is like our dreams, and we would love to make these dreams a reality someday. And I'm sure we will in small doses over time. Our lives have certain hurdles that we're trying to get over and certain restrictions that we're trying to navigate. So, this is not something that we can just go out and do right away, but talking about it, dreaming with your friends, that's all part of the fun. That's all part of what makes those dreams mean so much more when you finally achieve them, is because you shared those dreams with your friends. Yep. And you can say, look, I remember that cigar lounge that I always wanted to build. Well, guess what? I finally was able to do it, and look at how awesome it is. And it's like, yeah, dude, I remember we talked about that for hours. We even made a podcast about it,
Yeah. No, it's definitely something where, if you can talk to your friends about it and they can vibe with you and like get excited about it. Obviously our two ideas are vastly different, but like we can sit here and make a podcast about it, and we're excited for each other,
Yeah.
And then like,
yeah, definitely
in the future, if we could make it a reality, and then like, oh, hey man, come over and check out the new room, and like we could hang out in these spaces and like enjoy them and do the things we like to do and create things that we like to create and whatnot. So
yeah,
it's a good thing to dream.
Yeah, definitely. Share your dreams with your friends. Encourage each other. Back each other up. I mean, all that stuff is so important.
Yep.
So anyway, this is the Aaron and Anthony podcast. Do you have anything else, Aaron?
No. What are we going to talk about next time?
Oh, that's a good question.
We had a list.
Oh man, we do. I have the list here. We got Magic Deep Dive. We got artwork. Pet peeves. That was one.
Pet peeves.
Cars. I think cars and food.
Ooh,
music.
food, yeah.
PC builds. Disc golf and photography. Dream houses, specifically what we want in them.
Ooh.
Pets, both current and dream pets. So we got quite a few.
Okay, let's see.
That we can choose from.
Off the top of my head, let's go. I'll dwindle that down a little bit. We'll say either cars, pets, food. Yeah, I forgot the rest of them.
Well, that dwindles it down already. So let's do food.
Food.
Let's do food. I gotta brush up on my car curriculum before we talk about that.
Fair enough. Food.
Take a mechanics class first, because I don't want to sound like, oh dude, make car go fast.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Put car on ground, make car go fast.
Yeah. No. We'll talk about food. We'll talk about restaurants. We'll talk about making food endeavors.
Oh dude, I mean, I think that's gonna be the main focus. Is obviously some of the best food that we've had and where we had it. Some of the best looking food that we've seen, and then different things that we've cooked up. I mean, I
cook way too much.
You have a good history with that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be watching the cooking channel all this week to prepare for this episode.
All right, man.
But
heck yeah.
Yeah. No, anyway, thank you for listening. we appreciate the support and just being here, enjoying this podcast, and hopefully encourage all of you guys to dream, and strive for those goals.
Yep, absolutely. We couldn't do it without you guys. You know, we need someone to kind of share our dreams with, you know, and our audience, our friends, our family, you know. So it's been a good time. We've talked about some cool stuff. We've got some new ideas, and we look forward to the next episode.
All right. Yeah. We'll see you guys in a week.
All right.
All right.
See you guys later.
See ya.